Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today I've got this really interesting old Fender guitar here. I picked this up last week and I'm not exactly sure what I've got. Hopefully today we can figure that out. A lot of the signs are pointing to this being a late 1960s Fender Stratocaster, which would be really cool. So we'll get to the bottom of that today, and of course I'll play it for you through a couple vintage Fender amps and we'll see how it sounds. So let's check it out. All right, so like I was saying, I picked this guitar up off of Reverb last week, and I'm always looking for cool player grade vintage instruments to display here on my YouTube channel, guitars that are refinished, routed, or parts missing or whatever. And this guitar is pretty much all of the above, but I thought it looked really cool. It reminded me of Hendrix's Woodstock Stratocaster, which was an Olympic white 68 Strat, I believe. Now this guitar has a veneer rosewood fretboard, and I think Jimmy's had a maple cap neck on it. But this guitar has the classic big headstock with the Fender Stratocaster logo. And at some point, someone put a few extra string trees here in the headstock. I guess that was a very common thing to do back in the 70s and 80s. Now on the back of the headstock, you'll see a set of original F logo Fender tuners, which you would find on late 60s, 70s Stratocasters and Telecasters. But these tuners have the plastic buttons on them, which I believe were used on student model guitars. So I'm not sure how they ended up on this one, but honestly, I think they're kind of cool and different. You don't often see those. Now, during this time period, Fender used a nitro lacquer on the front of the headstock, which has some really cool checking going on. And then on the back, they used a poly finish, which is very kind of hard and plastic feeling. And for that reason, there's really no play wear on the back of the neck. And you'll notice on the back here, this has a 4-bolt neck plate with the F logo and serial number. In about 1971 or 72, Fender went to the 3-bolt design, which is very controversial, whatever, but this is the more desirable 4-bolt version. But this serial number on the back, I believe, dates to around 67, which is a bit unusual because most of the other features are pointing to like later 60s or even 70, 71. So I'm not sure how all these parts came together, but it does look like a real neck plate to me. Now the body is still a little bit of a mystery, and we're gonna get into that in just a minute. But first, I wanna play for you guys just the clean tones from this guitar. I'm gonna go through the different pickup positions here and show you the clean tones out of this guitar, and then we'll try to figure out exactly what the rest of the parts may be. So the rest of this guitar is kind of a mystery, and there's really not very many ways to date a Fender body from this time period. Really the best thing you can do is disassemble it and try to date the electronics or see if there's a stamp on the end of the neck here. They were not dating the bodies at this time, so you can really only go off of different features like the contours and the routes inside, but unfortunately this guitar was routed out. So it's very tough to tell, but there are a few details that lead me to believe this is a vintage Fender body. But I bought this guitar with the understanding that this may not be a vintage body. But when I got it, I started looking it over, and there is some really nice checking in the paint finish on this guitar. And it looks like what you would find on a vintage Fender. Hopefully I can capture it on the video, but it looks really cool and authentic. If this is a real body, I do believe this is still a refinish, but it's got to be very old and done with, you know, a certain type of paint that looks very authentic. But there's one clue on this guitar that to me is really the telltale sign. So back when they were routing these bodies, whatever machines they were using, they mounted them to the machine using these dowel holes. And they're in very specific locations on the original bodies, and you can Google this information and find it. But on this guitar, if you take a look, you can find these circular marks in different areas on the body. And to me, that's a clear sign that this is indeed a real vintage Fender body. Now, trying to date it beyond that could be impossible. We could take a look inside. Maybe there's some other clues. Maybe we could find some original finish and try to narrow it down. But being a 4-bolt, it's pretty much pre-71 or 2. And then with the headstock and, you know, some of the contours on the body, you know, it's probably like 67 or 8 to 71 right about. So, but yeah, in the next episode, hopefully we can do some more digging around and try to narrow down the date of this guitar and authenticate it a little bit further. But I think I'll go ahead and play it out for you guys and maybe step on a fuzz pedal or maybe my wah pedal and play some Hendrix inspired licks, because that's what this guitar reminds me of, is Jimi Hendrix. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this old Stratocaster, and let me know in the comment section what you guys think, if this is indeed the real deal, or maybe you just think it's fake. I don't know. Look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, all right? Peace.